If you have ever had a rose that is climbing, or a rambler perhaps, maybe you don't even know which one it is, and it has outgrown its supports, well, today I'm going to show you a super easy and inexpensive way to tie up your rose, to keep it safe no matter what the weather is, and to increase the number of blooms it gets in the year. I'll also talk a little bit about what the difference is between a climber and a rambler and why that matters too. Okay, let's get started. So today I'm at my mom's house, and she is a great gardener. You can see we've got lots of lush green. It's spring here, but she has this rose right behind me. She's actually not sure what kind of rose it is, but it is clearly either a climber or a rambler. And the difference between those two is not all that important, except that you can tell by the way it blooms. So a rambler usually only blooms once in one big explosion of flowers. Also, the flowers tend to come in little clusters together. A climber will often bloom in flushes, so 3 or 4 different times over the course of a summer. The blooms are usually a little bit bigger and they bloom singularly. So you'll have a big flower and then another big flower along a stem. Whether you have a climber or a rambler, or maybe you don't even know which you have, it doesn't matter. What I'm going to show you today is a super easy way to tie up your rose so that you will get more blooms and a healthier plant. So let's take a look at this rose behind me. Okay, so like I said, I'm at my mom's house, and she is a great gardener, but she just had surgery and she hasn't been able to get out into the garden at all this spring. And so I'm going to take care of this rose for her. You can see we've got a bunch of great canes coming up here, but it has outgrown that little trellis that is there. I think it's been in the ground for about 3 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little pruning, we're going to tie it up, and we're going to create a series of cables across this little shed where the rose can be tied up. And that way, that protects those canes in the wind, but it will also get more light and more air to the rose, and that means more flowers. Okay, so I have all my tools set out here. You need a drill. You need some wire cutters of some kind. You're going to need a level and a measuring tape. Then you're going to need some hooks. These are eye hooks. I actually bought 2 different types because I'm not sure which type I'm going to want to use. These are 3-inch, and they kind of hold everything off the shed side a little more. And then these are shorter, and I'll get out there and decide which ones I want to use, and then obviously return the others. And then I have 14 gauge multi-purpose wire, and I have about 100 feet of that, and a pen, and that should be everything I need to get this project going. Okay, I am filming this in stages because it's kind of windy and my tripod keeps blowing over. So you can see now I have the eye hooks in, and I have eye hooks spread out. So I have 4 going across the window, 1 on either side of the window, and then 1 at each end. And then up above I have 3, 1 in the middle. And the middle ones are just to keep the wire a little straighter and give it a little extra support. These are into studs, so they're not going anywhere. And then this nice wire, I just cut it to length, twisted off one side and then pulled it tight and twisted the other. Now, wire will stretch over time. So the nice thing about this, and you could use a turnbuckle. I was doing this on a budget, but you could totally use a turnbuckle and that will keep it even tighter. But you just come back, undo one end, pull it tighter, and then twist the wire again. And it's all good. And remember, this wire is here for the rose to just give it a little bit of support. It's not going to carry a whole ton of weight because you're going to tie it off at multiple places, but it's giving it some good support. So I've taken the trellis that this little rose was on off, and you can see I've got two really good canes here. So I'm going to direct one on either side of the window, and then the supporting branches that come off of those canes, I'm going to tie those to the wires as horizontally as possible, because when they are horizontal, they will bloom more. If they're vertical, they're going to grow and not bloom as much. So you can see how bent over this is. But I'm going to get it tied in nice and tight, and I shouldn't say tight in securely. And I'm using just regular jute twine to tie it in. You don't ever want to use anything plastic to tie in roses because the plastic can rub and create wounds on the canes that you're tying. So jute twine is perfect. You don't want it too tight. You just want it to be kind of supportive. So it's not a girdle, it's just a really nice sports bra for your roses. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours and the rose is done. So let me show you what I did. It's so easy and so simple and has made an enormous difference. Here's the rose all tied up now, and you can see you really can hardly see the wires now that they're all up. Putting the wires up is really easy. I've pruned back lots and lots of growth so that you can see the canes. I've tied out a bunch of branches horizontally or started to tie them out horizontally because horizontal growth on a rose will result in more blossoms in the end. Vertical canes grow, horizontal branches bloom. So you want lots and lots of horizontal growth to get lots and lots of roses. So if you come over here and look, so the eye hooks are evenly spaced, and I use the spacing of the window to get the spacing here. You'll see I actually have an eye hook up here in the corner, and I decided not to put a cable up there because I think this is as high as it should go. I don't think my mom can prune by herself all the way up there. So I think we're gonna kind of keep the height of the rose, and we'll just trim anything that gets much higher. If she changes her mind though, we can still add some more wire in there, and that would be fine too. So I used this spacing for the first, and that was 11.5 inches. And then I used the window as the spacing for the next three cables. So I put one at the top of the window, I put one at the bottom of the window, and then I cut it in half. And that wire actually goes completely across the window because she actually does not like that window and wants the greenery to grow across it. So that's fine. It's an easy way to disguise that window into the shed. Really simple. So the wire goes all the way across. The wire, which is a nice heavy gauge, is just twisted at each end. And so what I did was started it at one side, fed it all the way through the eye hooks. I had it twisted at this end, pulled it tight at that end, and then twisted that. Is it going to be perfect? No. And in the heat of the summer with the sun, it will sag a little bit, but then all you do is untwist one end, pull it a little tighter, and twist it again. It's an easy way to adjust it. There's also one down at the bottom down here. And that is really just to support those canes and get them going in the right direction. And you'll notice I cut off, there was some growth here at the bottom, and I cut off that growth. I hope that this rose will sprout another cane or two this summer. That would be great. And we'll just start to direct them outward and upward. We could take still. One cane could kind of come up the middle, and then you could easily fan out 2 more canes here, easily, and get them going in the right direction too. So then, to take the branches and kind of direct them, I'm using twine, and the twine is just tied really simply, not too tight. It can still move. There's room for growth around the rose. You see how loose that is. It's going to stay there. It's not, but it can move in the wind. It can grow. It's not constricting the rose at all. There are some branches like this one. I really bent that, but it is really young and pliable. And so I think it will just kind of go that way naturally on its own. I removed anything that was crossing, that was dying or dead, and there were no signs of disease, which is great. And then there are a couple, like this branch is just a little bit too short, but I just tied it off to give it a suggestion that it needs to grow this direction. And then when it's a little longer, we can actually tie it to the wire and get it going in the right way. But that is a really easy, simple project. It took me maybe 3 hours total to get everything done. It's hard to tell because I had a bunch of interruptions yesterday, but everything is done, and I think it is looking fabulous. So imagine this. By the end of the summer, it'll be covering this shed and blooming like crazy. If you have questions, drop them below. I'll be sure to answer them. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy gardening.